Good morning, and just want to welcome everyone. We're going to give it one more minute here because we'll have plenty of time. We do have a packed session to go over some of the major differences you'll encounter between Beachboard and Canvas. We're not going to go over everything because that would take a lot longer than an hour, but we're going to go over quite a few of the major differences that you'll encounter. So I'm just going to go one more minute here, and then we'll get started. Okay, I think we are good now. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. My name is Jennifer. I am one of the instructional designers with Academic Technology Services, and I see some familiar faces. Hi. Um, so today we're going to be going over a high overview of some of the differences between Beachboard and Canvas. By a show of hands, how many of you are already getting started with Canvas? How many of you have already kind of exposed yourselves to it? Just use the reactions down below and just raise your hand real quick, or a thumbs up. Yeah, either one's fine. Awesome. Okay, I see a couple. Awesome. Not yet, Chris. Okay, I gotcha. No worries. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you. So that's okay if you haven't gotten any familiarity yet. This is that opportunity to kind of start to see some of that. So I'll be sharing some images and then going into some overview demonstrations, and then allowing you to actually access some time in Canvas if you have access to it. If you want to, you don't have to. This is a choice. And then reminding you that you all have access to a sandbox. Also note that this is a recording, so you'll be able to see this later on if you missed something or didn't catch it or want to review it again. We will have the recording available to you all. Please feel free to use the chat. I am also here with a couple of my colleagues. Paul, do you want to say hi? And Roger?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I'll be here supporting in the background. So if you need any resources or have a question, happy to help.
Yeah, and same for me. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll respond to them quickly.
Yeah, thank you. And I did get a question on what is a sandbox. So if you are not already familiar, Adam, did you want to also just say hi real quick?
Oh, I was just waving hi. Adam Mitchell here. I'm another instructional designer.
Sorry, one moment. Sorry about that. So Sandbox, if you are not already familiar with what a sandbox is, Sandbox is a course that we have opened up to all instructors to be able to have access to in order to test out Canvas and kind of play around and things like that. So it's a space for you to start just kind of pressing buttons and being okay with pressing things. You won't break it, I promise. So feel free to just kind of dive in whenever you're ready, and hopefully after this presentation, and then you can connect with us with any questions that you have later on. Feel free again to post questions in the chat box or raise your hand if you have any questions. And then we should have time at the end to have some more time for Q&A. That way we can go over any of the topics that we had today, or have today, I should say. So right away, we're going to dive into what you should see once you go into, or the navigation part, I should say. So Canvas is a little different in its navigation. There's two types of navigations that you'll encounter. One is their primary one, or we can call it the primary navigation. It is a fixed menu. and it provides some major control functions for your course for the account level settings. And it'll always be located on the left-hand side. On a mobile device, it may shrink down, but you can always access it again. So just know that that's also there. And then you have your course navigation menu, which I have here on the left-hand side and highlighted in a red box. So that particular menu will be accessed once you access a course inside Canvas, and it is course specific. So you can customize this if you notice, and it might be small for some, but once we go into Canvas, you'll be able to see these a little bit more in depth. There are some little eyes with the line crossed through that. That means on the student side, they won't be able to see those particular functionalities. So you can do that too. What you're seeing right now is the standard one that we've created for everyone to have in all the courses. So this is what you would see in once you access your class for the first time. So once you go into Canvas, you'll also have a dashboard. And the dashboard will actually show your courses. You can change the format for a little bit. This is what it normally looks like as a standard once you first log in, and it will have the images along with your course name. And you can see that there's a message on some of these and things like that. So again, you have your main global menu that's going to be on the left-hand side, and these are a couple of things that we'll go over. Excuse me. And then just want to note, so with the account, that's again, mostly your profile, any adjustment with notifications, account settings. The dashboard is going to show your current courses that you have access to and kind of give this bird's eye view of your activity. The courses is going to provide a full list of everything that you have access to, and it's going to be more of a list versus like these icons that you have here. And then in groups is going to show where you are part of any groups or any group activity. And then you have a calendar tool where you can view your current activities that are going on in your classes, and then any events and assignments that are associated for the courses that you have. Then you also have the inbox, and we'll go a little bit more in detail on the inbox, which is basically going to be one of your communication tools with your students. And it's going to be able to allow you to do one-on-one communications or groups and things like that. The history function here is going to allow you to quickly access recently visited functions or locations within Canvas. And then we have My Media, which is your media, and it's going to be your videos that you've created, things like that you've uploaded for your courses and things like that. And then Commons, which is a new feature that that Canvas specifically has. So this is where we can have shared courses and content and things like that. And then of course the help menu, which you'll have access to along with some of our resources that we've provided. So one of the other big differences in Beachboard, you are probably used to seeing this kind of setup. You have your home title, the navigation is usually up on top. You have like a professor instructor profile on the right-hand side or bio. You'll have your news items, maybe a welcome video, and the calendar. So this is going to be different from in the Canvas because the widgets, that's these little guys. Let me get my little annotation tool. So these guys here, these boxes that you're seeing, those are called widgets, and they have structured setup within a page, right? So the widgets are not something that are going to be in Canvas. So the web page, the home pages are going to be very different. And here's what they're going to look like. Whoops. So this is an example of one instructor's homepage right now. So she created a banner up on the top of the page. She added some in text in here in the middle. She has some hyperlinks. And then she got a little bit more creative using the Canvas tutorials. So this was something she did on her own. She went and used the tutorials that Canvas offers to go in and create these buttons for a quick access to the course modules and some other little functionalities that she has here. And as you can tell, on the left-hand side is our main primary menu and also the course menu on the left-hand side that she has. So this is what those buttons to access the course menu look like. Just want to give you a closer view of what that looks like. You can have something like this. It does not have to look like this. This is just one of many examples that we've seen from some instructors already in how they're getting creative with their pages. So just know that you're not going to have the widget structure like you had before because it's very confined in how you create and put things in the page. This has a full page and you have as much creativity that you're willing to put into this, you can put on your homepage. So it's really just going to be up to you. This is another homepage that we've created for some of our Canvas trainings that we've started over the last few months. As you can tell, there are some news announcements up on top, so that's also something that's a little different. This is one of our homepages that we've customized. So each course can customize your own homepage. Just like in Beachboard, it's just going to be a different structure. And then what we have here, we still have some buttons at the bottom that we've utilized, but we also have some text. We've utilized headers and things like that. So again, this is another example of what a homepage can look like. Again, it doesn't have to be super fancy or have too much, but you do want to make sure you also are putting in the most important information that your students usually need in the beginning of a course. So typically that's your contact information, a welcome message, where they get started, things like that. So if you ever need questions or have need some help with that, just feel free to reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help you all. So what's also different now in communicating with students? So one of the bigger differences is what it looks like and then the email messages. So Beachboard had an email class list that you would go to and it would send. Now, many of you are probably already familiar. Beachboard has some issues with the emails, stuff went to junk and things like that. And announcements was typically the more common and easiest way to share any messages out. And then there were also notifications that students would get in order to see any new updates and things like that that would happen in class. So that's still similar in Canvas. What's now the more efficient and a little bit better in Canvas is the inbox messages, and that would be where you're emailing students. But what's different in Canvas is that the messages stay within Canvas. You can see communications back and forth if you need to refer to anything. Beachboard didn't have a good way of retaining those messages before. This is a better way of doing that now. And you can still use your Outlook. It does use notifications to forward these messages out to students. So we do encourage the use of notifications in Canvas. That way students and you, and by the way, the notifications are customized to each individual user. So students and instructors can customize how they want to see their messages. So that's just something you'll want to talk with your students about and let them know how you're communicating and remind them to set up the notifications. And then there's also announcements. So that is not different. You saw in the homepage that the announcements were popping up there. There's also a separate tab for announcements itself. If you want to share that with students, you don't have to, but that is also where you can have them as well. So here I have highlighted where the announcements are typically going to be posted in the course homepage. And if you notice that there's a home and I have an announcements tab, like I had mentioned in our course navigation. And this is popping up on the actual homepage for students to see. So they can see it on the home. And I've given them access in this particular sandbox to be able to see the announcements as well, or this particular course, so that they can see them in both places if they want to. You don't have to do that. You can keep the announcements tab hidden and only you have access. It's just a matter of preference. This is a sample of what the inbox would look like. So you'll notice that there are messages over here on the left-hand side that I have coming in from people. You can see that this has 2, 1, 2. So this is like communications back and forth already. I can click on it and it'll show me in the window on the right-hand side that communication feed between back and forth. And I can delete these. I can communicate to the entire class, or I can send it to a small group of students or just one-on-one. And these would be sent out to the students in their Canvas courses, and they would see those pop up as new messages on their end to access. And again, notifications is where they get that message like to their direct email, where they say, hey, you got a message in Canvas, you need to go check your boxes. So that's how that works. All right, so I'm going to quickly demo this. I'm going to pause for a moment here and switch my slides. And go over here. Oops. Okay, can I get a thumbs up if you all can see my page, and you should be seeing my single sign-on access now. Awesome, thank you. All right, so when you access your single sign-on, now we have a ton more options now in here than we did before. So I wanted to make sure you all knew where you could access Canvas. So once you get onto your single sign-on, you now have the option to click on this button here, which is for Beachboard and Canvas. This is the one that's going to let you go into either or, and you're going to have this page pop up where it says Beachboard login and Canvas login. So if you're going into Canvas, you'll go over here and it'll open up into your page. I'm actually going to open up one more time so you can see. You might get a few pop-ups here, and this is news announcements that we'll be sending out and campus announcements to kind of let you know some updates or things that we have going on. So it's just one thing. And again, this is a dashboard of what this will look like. Mine's already got a few courses on here. You might already have some courses as well since we've started the migration process. And everyone has access to a sandbox, like I had mentioned, which is a course that you can play around in and kind of start, testing stuff out. So I'm going to open up into my sandbox over here and show you where the inbox is again. So here's the inbox. Now, if I want to create a message, this is the compose new message option over here. And then I can select a course. And typically you want to go look in your favorites courses, and you can scroll down to find the one. You just need to know which one you're going to send it, if you're going to send it to an entire course and whatnot. Or if you have certain people that you want to send it to, or groups, you can go to the group. Like I have a test group right now, or you can send it to one person and then you can go to the inbox this way or grab their email. Then you give it a subject, you type your message, you can add attachments, and this is, I think, a video option, and then you would send. Okay, so again, I'm just going to show you where that's at again. So we landed in our dashboard, which is typically where you'll land once you access Canvas to see all your courses that are currently running. You go down to where the inbox is, and this is where you can access your inbox and find the compose page. So now that I've showed you this, what I would like you all to do is actually try it yourselves. Now, if you don't want to, that's okay. You just want to watch, that's all right too. But if you want to give this a try, all I'm asking you to do is briefly go into your sandbox or locate your sandbox in Canvas, then identify where the inbox is, and then find the compose message. Okay, and I'm going to have a poll up here that I'm going to launch. And can I get a thumbs up if everybody can see this? Awesome, thank you. So if you've already done it, awesome. If you're just watching, you can just let me know, and then that way I know how much time to give leeway to. Cool, thank you all. Okay, once I hit about 80%, I'll close this out. I'll give you guys about another 30 seconds to a minute. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll. Thank you all for participating. Hi, Robin. Okay, I see you have some questions. You can feel free to post them in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand or speak, feel free. Do you want to go ahead and unmute?
Yeah, okay. So I did just go and do this. I opened my sandbox, and when it said select course, it, I did look in the favorite courses, but it didn't necessarily show me, it didn't show me all of my courses that are
Okay.
there. So I was a little curious about how it decides what your favorite courses are.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question.
For instance, just for instance.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that piece. Does anyone else know for off the top of their head?
Yeah, I think I can chime in. For favorites, those are managed by going into the courses tool. If you click on the left, the global navigation that Jennifer mentioned, select courses, and then at the bottom there's a view all courses, and there you can manage your favorites.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd recommend favoriting maybe your current terms courses, so that way they're easy to access.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That was helpful.
No problem.
Yeah. That's right, I forgot about that. Thanks, Paul. Okay, so now that we've done that, so the next thing that you all can access and that you'll see is that there is a separate space specifically for syllabus. So with this, you can upload your syllabus. You can also, once you see that, start adding in assignments or dates to items that you're creating inside the course. You'll create a course summary here on the bottom. And so this will actually create it by chronological order. And you can, it does pull from the syllabus information as well. And then once these dates are actually uploaded, it'll start to populate over here on the calendar that we have in that section. And it will also populate for the course calendar itself as well. And again, this is an option you can use if you feel like this is too much or you don't think you'll need it and you just want to post the syllabus as a document. That's also okay too. This is just another way to populate this and also have a course list of all the different activities that are going on and assignments so that you and the students can see what's going on. So another big difference that you'll find is on the left-hand side is Beachboard. The right-hand side is Canvas. You can already tell that there's a slight difference in the management of the navigation. So there's that table of contents that you can see on the left-hand side. There's no table of contents on the right-hand side. There are still modules that you'll create, and that's really just to organize your structure of your content and be able to list out all the different material that you're going to go through, whether that be weekly or by unit or however else you decide to organize your materials. This is where you'll end up doing that in the modules tab section. From there, you can also add in pages, so HTML pages like in Beachboard. You can have attachments like PDFs, PowerPoints, Excel sheets, videos, external links, all kinds of content. So this is where you will start to organize it here on the right-hand side. And this is also where you can link in assignments as well for the students. And there's also going to be an assignment tab that you can use to start creating them and then link them here so that they have access to it in one place. One more thing that I'm going to mention in the navigation right now is the media. And like I mentioned, it is going to include your Zoom recordings and other videos that you may have created using whether it be Camtasia or other recording tools. They will be uploaded in your media, and then you can pull those over directly from that storage space into your content. The only thing it won't record is if you plan on using Microsoft Teams for any recordings. It won't carry those over. That's going to be a separate storage space that it will have those if you're planning to use Microsoft Teams.
Excuse me, Jennifer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sumitro, did you remember your question?
Yeah, I think what I was thinking about was when it took me a few minutes to sign in, because of that code that they send you to the phone and all of that. So when we were looking at how to find the Compose tab,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at that. Now that was not under Sandbox, right?
The Sandbox is the course that you can access to find a message for your class, but no, you don't have to go to the Sandbox.
So basically, when I open the page, I'm sorry, I'm just going back to my home page. So when I'm looking at my home page, I would go down to inbox, and that's where, on the banner on top there is that Compose tab.
Yes.
Compose
And
so basically what's happening, I'm sorry to interrupt, basically what's happening is that it's going to give us unlike in Beachboard where well, I mean, we were really not emailing stuff through Beachboard, right? I mean, we were, but in this on Canvas, it's giving you an aggregate of all the messages that you're getting from all your courses, right?
Yeah, the inbox will have the source of everything from within all your classes within Canvas. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just a little confused. So in that case, once all of us start using Canvas, I mean, does it make the use of our Microsoft Outlook redundant? Because
No, because this isn't directly connected to Outlook. They are still two separate software tools. So this is a messenger that stays within Canvas. The notification is what goes out into the email, which is your Outlook, to let you know you have a message in Canvas to come look at.
I see. So when students write to me, they're going to write into Canvas, and I'll get a notification to check that.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Exactly that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know that's always been a question that I've consistently gotten. So just wanted to make sure it's totally, yeah, it's a little bit different than what we've had before. So yeah, that's just a new way of encountering things. Okay, so this was a media that we just went over. So what's coming up next is I'm going to actually go into the gradebook, and I'm going to briefly share what the gradebook is. I won't be going into full detail, and that's mostly because I have a colleague, or a couple colleagues who will be doing a full breakdown of how to set up your gradebook. If you were curious about that, I recommend also going to those sessions. That way you can have a better idea of what to anticipate. But we won't be going over a full breakdown of how to set it up here because it'll take much longer than what the time we have left. So just to let you know. And then we will be kind of sharing a high overview, how to navigate and kind of look around and things like that. Okay, so here's my sandbox again. So again, sandbox is where you can go in and poke around with Zoom, or not Zoom, with Canvas and play and just kind of start creating some stuff here, seeing what it looks like, getting familiar with how to navigate in this new tool. So in your navigation, or once you go into your dashboard, you pick your course. I picked my sandbox, and I'm going to go into assignments. So this is what's definitely different now when you're going to set up your gradebook. Your gradebook is going to be coming from your assignments breakdown here. You don't have to create assignments and then create the grade item or connect them together as you're creating the assignments. This will automatically populate into the gradebook once you create the assignment. So that's the nice part. You're not feeling like there's a sense of double work. You're creating them right here as you set them up. So I already have some items here started. I'm going to create one now. I'm going to go to the plus assignment, which is where I'm going to add an option. I'm going to give it a title, and I'm just going to go test assignment here. In this box that we have with some like text options, it's an HTML box. This is where you can put instructions or any directions for the assignment that students will see. You have the point feature, and I'm going to give it 10 points here. You have some assignments here. Now, no submission assignment is something I will mention, and that's something where if you want to just add in points for an item, but you don't necessarily need them to submit anything, this is what you're going to do. Because when you go into the gradebook, you're not creating anything in the gradebook anymore. So you can't just create a grade item. You have to come here. You would create a no submission assignment and then go in here. Now you can have points, percentage, a letter grade, not graded, things like that. There's a bunch of different options that we have here now that we didn't necessarily before, that might be a little bit easier to kind of know in the grading process. You can have something that doesn't count towards the final grade. These are also going to allow you to do a paper or something online. Again, no submission, and external tools. So example would be like PlayPosit. If you're using PlayPosit, this would allow you to do that. This also allows students to submit text and a website, media recordings or annotations, and file uploads. Again, this is submission unlimited, the amount of submissions that they can have in a single folder. Typically, you want to keep it unlimited, which is the same as in Beachboard. And that's just because if they submit the wrong file or things like that, just let them have access to that, and you should be able to see which ones that they have. You have any group assignments that you want to create. There is a peer review feature now that's available within Canvas. So if you want students to do some peer reviews with each other, this will allow you to do that now. And then the assignment parameters. So this would be to everyone, and then the due date. And then here's the parameters for access, which is available from, the 15th of August until, let's say, Sunday the 21st is an example. Then when I'm ready, I can just save it if I still want it in draft and don't want the students to see it, or I can save and publish. Oops. And I think it's already updated. Oh, it's asking me for something. There we go. Now it's ready. So this is what it looks like when it's done. And now I'm going to go look in my grade book over here in grades. And it will have the test assignment up here, which is right here. Once we go into this, you can access, oops. Here we go. These are ways you can sort your gradebook here. We do have something called SpeedGrader, which I'll go into in just a moment. But when you're going into items and you just want to enter in, this is how you can enter it. This also goes to SpeedGrader or to the grade points. You can also make any notice of a status if something comes in late, if that's something you want to use, and then comments as well is also available to the students. So SpeedGrader, this is another way to see the SpeedGrader. There is also something, if you are someone who uses rubrics, you can attach rubrics to the items and you will see them in this section. You can add comments, the grade points, you can view the documents here and make annotations here as well as adding the comments, and then you can add any other attachments if you want to use them. This one that's slightly different, if you were someone who liked to leave voice messages, I know Beachboard left some voice message option that you could use. That is not here, unfortunately, but this is definitely something that we've heard some instructors like, because annotation features of assignments was something that they could definitely use more often, more frequently, and the setup and then the rubrics, of course. And you can adjust this window too. So if you're using a rubric and you need more space, you can definitely do it that way. Okay. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention in gradebooks. So if you notice, once I went into gradebook, there's no course navigation here, right? So to access it again, I'm going to go up to these 3 lines in the upper left-hand corner by the title of my course. I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to see the menu over here on the left-hand side pop up. So now what I want to do is go back to assignments. So this is a straight points right now that I just started creating. If you are someone who likes to use the weighted feature, I'm going to show you how that is. Oops, not there. You'll go over here to these ellipses dots, these vertical ellipses. Once you click on that or select that, there'll be assignment groups weight, and you can add the weighted feature here. Excuse me one moment. So this is where you can assign the percentages and things like that for your different assignments that you have. These groups that you see here right now are what I've created in my assignments section. Yours will probably be different, but this is what you would anticipate to see once you go into the gradebook and start creating your assignment groups and things like that. So that's the weighted feature. Some other notes about the grade book here. You can search for assignments here. You can search by student, and you can also export this as well. One thing that we've seen, I think, with like a class list, an instructor wanted like a class list. You would want to pull this by the export, and this would be able to provide you a class list of who's in your list if you have like a long list of students that you wanted. You also have some filter options here, and to create a filter. And these are some of your other features that we have. If you have a late policy, you can add that and build it inside the gradebook as well. And these are some additional features that are in here, which I will let my colleague go over more in detail for the actual full setup, because that's more in the actual setup of the gradebook. Okay. Did I have a question? I heard somebody. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question, Jennifer. As I was going through all of this, I'm just wondering. I mean, we are making this transition. We are putting in all this time and effort to make this transition from Beachboard to Canvas. But what's the? How should I put it? What are some of the things that we are gaining by this transition? In what ways would you say that Canvas was pedagogically a more effective or easier or better or superior platform than what Beachboard already was, which is a platform that we had all come to be so familiar with? We are almost like, having to relearn a whole new thing. But how is this a whole lot better in any shape or form than what we were getting out of Beachboard?
So one of the things I can tell you with the inbox feature, that is actually a little bit better, because I know one of the challenges that we encountered was that a lot of messages were going to the junk. This minimizes that now. Messages shouldn't necessarily be going to junk, because each individual person or user, whether it be student, staff, or student, or faculty, sorry, they get to customize that and then be able to have them sent. And then having every user with a CCLB email also assists with that. As far as the LMS, I'm not able to say one's superior over another. There are some pluses and minuses in the gain. That is something, as far as like why the change or that happening, that's not something I can really say. It's just a change that we had coming down the pipeline.
Right.
So what I do know is that a lot of students, and this was built by other instructors, and the common saying that we had been hearing overall was that this was a much simpler tool that was useful for a lot of instructors, built by instructors for instructors. So most of the audience who have used these have said this, or use this tool, have said this is a very useful tool and a lot easier for transition, or a lot easier in the grading and uses of classes. Can't say if it's superior or not or anything like that. There are going to be some pluses and minuses in that transition regardless. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So let me just make sure I've got all these. Okay. Yes, go ahead, John.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
I have a question related to the grade book.
Yeah.
Does the Canvas system have any function to monitor an online exam individually?
No.
So
that's where you would still use Respondus or Monitor for these,
gotcha.
for the quizzes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, for any proctoring and things like that, you'd still be using Respondus, Lockdown Browser, and or Monitor for these particular, like if you wanted that for a quiz or an exam of any particular type, that's where you would use these tools. And those are going to be integrated. I'm sorry, they have already been integrated, and students can use them. Or instructors can use them for their students.
Okay, are these a third-party software?
So it's separate from Canvas that we've integrated to be able to work within the software for those particular functions.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question. Okay, the last thing I'm going to mention right now and go over quickly is discussions, because it is a different setup than before. So when you go into them, this is what they're going to look like initially, minus the one message I've created here. So, and what my setup is right now is the redesign option. So this is going to add a little bit more functionality than what you might see on your class when you initially try this out. But the setup is typically the same. So when you're ready to create a new discussion, you go to plus discussion, you create the topic title, and we're going to go test week 1. And we're going to have the body of text here. You can add attachments. You can also check for accessibility if that's something that is important to you, which we encourage. And you can have anonymous setup. You can have students reveal their name or not reveal their name, or have this one, which is what I typically recommend for most. And then there are some others to allow liking, grading, things like that. Here's your availability here. I'm going to turn this off for now. This is your availability for when they can see it and from until. So for a week, if you want to leave it for a week, so I'm going to go Sunday to Sunday. And then we save and publish. If we just save, again, this is going to be seen by you, not by the student. So you always want to make sure you save and publish when you're ready to let them see it. And then this is now how students can access it. So if we go back to discussions, you'll see that my test week 1 went up on top. So how these are ordered is strictly by when they are created. So if you notice, I moved it down to closed comments. So this is no longer technically being used in the closed comments, but I want it still in the main discussions. So I can't reorder them in here. The only way right now you can reorder them is in pinned discussions. So if I wanted a particular order, I'd want them all in pinned discussions. And then if I wanted the welcome to come first before the test, now I can organize them in that particular way. So just something to keep in mind. If you have a particular order, you'll want to use the pinned discussions. If it doesn't matter, or if you have a list of discussions, which is what I would encourage you to do, that you know you're going to use, you'll want to put them in or structure them out in the order that they come in. So they'll be one on top of the other. Okay. And then quizzes is also going to be different in its setup. You go to plus quiz. We'll go to classic quiz and then submit. There is a new option here. And submit. You give the title here. You can create questions in here as well. So like I think a library, if you want to create a library, you can definitely do that. You have the details here with the instructions in this box, this text box. You can have the create quiz type. You can do surveys as well in here. You can have ungraded quizzes or regular just setup. You can shuffle the answers. You can have a time limit, allowing multiple attempts if that's something that you want for this particular quiz. And then the restrictions as well is also here. So I wouldn't necessarily use the access code or the IP address. However, you can add the due dates and then availability of these as well. And then when you're ready, you save and publish. And here's the quiz.